Hey there, my name's Mark, and thanks for joining me today. So I'm doing a follow-up video to that initial hands-on review video I did of CADEsport. I wanted to do this because I made a number of mistakes in the first video that I wanted to rectify. This is actually my third attempt to record in this video because the audio quality has been pretty bad. I'm trying out different microphones, and I think I have the best quality solved that I can get now, considering all the variables I'm going to have on the bike with all the mechanical sounds and the low whirring sound of my fan that is going to be present as well. So I'm going to go over a number of technical things that I got wrong in that first video, and then I am going to make sure that we get it resolved for you so that I can give you the fairest review possible, and also give Cyclogen, the company behind CADEsport, the fairest review possible too. So without further ado, let's open CADEsport. Alright, and now we are into the root menu of CADEsport, the home menu, if you will. You can see on the far right bottom corner of the screen there that we've had that QR code appear. You can also see that rotating animation in different languages of saying welcome to CADEsport, which is quite a nice touch. You then have these three main tiles. So you have your AI leader race of the day, so that's set to a certain world for each day. And you can see that we have AI bots we're currently getting the readout of their active wattage power numbers right at this moment, and you can actually program the bots and the AI so that you can have a challenge. You can train up to a wattage level that you want to go to by having to essentially race and ride against those bots and AI. You also have your peak coaching group workouts by Hunter Allen, a whole series of them, and the important thing with this menu is to hover over the tiles. Then you get your button options here, so you can actually go, you don't have to do this workout that is highlighted here in this top banner. You can actually click on any of these buttons and find the workouts in those levels. You've then got an audio guided tour that shows you how certain worlds work. So you've got the beginner's map, Rocky Mountains, Apex Mountains are the ones that they are giving you workouts for, how-to videos. You've also then got your, this is essentially what you'd click on to get into your rides. You've got your beginner's world audio guided tour, but then like I say, you have your buttons that are selected at the bottom here. You can go to your featured maps, all the rides, races, favorites, However, if you come down to the bottom here, I'm just going to show you a few things before I get to what I want to. You have your bottom banner here, and this is where you access Webcam. If you're going to run a webcam, show videos, which is where you would find the videos of the people that you're riding with in your selected channel. Talking about channels, you have that here. You can customize this to be team channels if you're part of a team, so you can have a private channel in race. You can also be on something like the playlist, which is one of the global playlists, one of the global channels, that you can access for both audio and video. Your microphone controls and your headphone, audio output controls, and you would get to the rest of that by going to the settings tab here, when you can fully customize what microphone selection you have, what headphone selection you have, web camera, all of that kind of thing. I've got my avatar here, so that's like profile and settings, help, and then I've got my burger menu, and again you see that QR code. So what is that for? That is for the companion app and the co-app, which was announced as something that was upcoming, roadmap if you will, when I did my first video, but now it's actually out. Is it good? I think it's really good actually. So what you do is you open the camera on your smartphone, and it can be any smartphone, old or new, because it is a mobile friendly website, so it's very light on data. It's not an app, so it's not going to be data heavy on your phone. So that makes it accessible to a whole lot of people. So you scan that, it's a web page, and then it gives you essentially the gyroscopic controls of your phone for steering, and also some braking functions as well, which we'll go into once we get into the game. But I can access my full controls from this burger menu. I am going to go to activities, and I'm going to select beginner's ride. So this is one that doesn't necessarily require steering, it doesn't have a crash mechanic and all of that, so I can just ride this and focus on talking to you. So let's take a look. So currently I'm in raw power. So raw power, to explain what that is, that's just a regular ERG mode for your direct drive turbo trainer, or just raw numbers if you are on an entry level turbo trainer, whether that's a fluid trainer, mag trainer, whatever, doesn't matter. So if you're using a speed sensor and a turbo trainer, and you've got your cadence sensors and all of that going as well, you're just going to get the raw numbers as well you are in ERG on your smart trainer device. So that one I don't need to explain to you, but the one that I got a whole bunch of things wrong on before was Pro Power. So I'm going to switch over to that, and this is patented to CADEsport by the Cyclogent team. So I'm selected in that. Let's go ahead and join. Now it's warning me here, your preferred power type or play type is Pro Power. Do you wish to proceed? Yes, I do. Off we go. So I've got Ant Plus, and that's going to find all of my devices. So what you may notice is on resistance device, it now is highlighted saying tax trainer. If you do happen to watch that first video that I did, it actually said generic device or unknown device or something along those lines, and I didn't realize what that meant. And so there's a reason why the ERG mode felt terrible the first time I tried this game, and we'll cover that as we go. So right now it's loaded the map for me. So I'm going to clip in. I am using the Wahoo entry-level speed plays. I love those ones. I think they're called Zeros, because they are dual-sided. I love that about them. If I mess up on the fly, I can very quickly just kick the pedal round and get clipped on. I also love the fact that they are circular, which gives me more degrees of float. My knees kind of bow outwards a little bit, which means that I do need the more degrees of float to keep my knees from feeling too much strain. And yes, I do have the bike fitted to the correct size for me. So we've just got a warm up here. And I'm just going to use that to its full advantage before we get going. So I've got a polybagged phone here for my co-app that I spoke of before. Polybagged because I'm a head sweater and my phone reacts very strongly to sweat. So let's get this open and going. So you get two options. You've got browse unconnected, which is when you're not in the game on your laptop or computer, but you just want to go in and look at your stats, for example. Or another example would be if you wish to schedule yourself into one of the scheduled rides or races and browse what's coming up, schedule, stuff like that. So while we're waiting for the warm-up, something that I think is really cool is the jersey that I'm wearing today, which is a replica of the race leader jersey from the 1984 movie American Flyers. So the Hell of the West race that they get into, which today is a fictional race, but apparently was a real race in Colorado at the time of the movie. A little fun piece of trivia for you is it was also the first feature-length movie with the starring role going to Kevin Costner. So his first feature film had a wide release. Alright, so get out the saddle for the climb. So I'd mentioned before, when we were in the pairing screen there, when the game was pairing with my Ant Plus devices, that there was something I wish to cover about the fact that it now says that my resistance device is a tax trainer and not a generic trainer device. So what I didn't know when I made that first video, and what I very much know now, is that a lot of these patented devices, so I'm riding a Tax Flux 2, a lot of these patented devices have certificates for their wireless digital pairing through both Bluetooth and Ant Plus, and you have to have these certificates for them to fully register the software and for them to be de-encrypted by the software, essentially a de-encryption key. And what I know now is that Cyclogen at the time, bearing in mind that the software was literally 2 days fresh out of the gate, had most of the tax devices, but not the Tax Flux 2 in terms of the certificates. Sorry, I'm having to hold in a lot of air to be able to talk to you. So what that ends up meaning is that it wasn't able to communicate properly with the software, which is why my ERG was so wildly off. I've also learned that the Tax Flux 2 was a device that began production before the Garmin merger, but its coming to production and being put out began to coincide with that merger. Now, I purchased it on a huge sale from the Mountain Equipment Cooperative here in Canada, and it was a sale like weeks before it was even released, like maybe 2 weeks before its official release date. I should have seen alarm bells at the time. I didn't. And don't get me wrong, it's a good trainer, very accurate, but it has issues too. And that's that a lot of these virtual training platforms find it hard to get the certificates. And it seems like, I have no confirmation for this, but this is very much what it seems like. All the teams that would have been working on this, including the marketing, the advertisements, the copy, not just the technical teams, the R&D teams, but everything was put into making sure the merger went smoothly. And as a result, the device that suffered was the Tax Flux 2, because it got discontinued very shortly afterwards. So it seems to be the one that all of these developers have trouble getting the certificates for is exactly the one that I have. But they have it now. And now that they have it, what do I think about the erg mode? I actually now have come full circle to believe it's the best and most reflective of the outside world erg mode on any virtual cycling platform. I'm not sure if you agree, but what I notice on Zwift, even on Ant+, which I think is better than BLE, Bluetooth, and people are probably going to disagree with that. Even on Ant+, I find that the climbing resistance triggers almost 2 seconds late, and it feels like a shock as a result. This triggers instantly. Also, this kind of plays into the erg mode as well, but the draft benefit I find is the best of the virtual cycling platforms I've tried. Again, in Zwift, if you catch up to the rider in front and you get that draft benefit, and it comes up telling you how much percentile of draft benefit you have, what you notice, especially on a direct drive smart trainer, is that you don't actually feel any ease from being in the draft. Both you and the rider who's giving you the draft just go faster. So what happens here in CADEsport? Well, what I found is that once you get into a peloton or you get in some kind of draft, in the direct drive smart trainer, the chain tension eases off, and eases off by a percentile of how much draft you're getting. So, okay, that's not accurate to the outside world. So, what am I on about then? Well, in the outside world, you would, of course, feel that air resistance go. So it feels like it's easier to press on. So with the limitations of tech wholesale in the industry as it is right now, where we can't 100% simulate like for like indoors to what the real outdoor cycling world would be, the closest thing that I've found to that feeling is here in CADEsport, because the easing up of that chain tension feels on my body, and through the effort I'm putting out, as though things have become easier, similar to that air resistance being cut off me. Oh, geez, that animation went a bit wonky. Oh, I think I was told about that. rather than crashes in easy mode, they were going to add in wonky animations as a little fun thing. So, what was it that I got wrong about Pro Power Mode before the whole reason for this video? Well, remember that I put a graphic in that video where I said that there was something weird about my power numbers and they weren't matching my actual effort? Turns out I had completely misunderstood what erg mode is. What Pro Power Mode is. It turns out this is a mode that equalizes you to the relative power of a pro out in the real world. And it standardizes you with other riders. So that means if you ride in other virtual cycling platforms and you find that you've been separated from your buddies, either you've stayed too low in the ride and race categories, so now when you want to join events, you're separated, you can't socialize anymore, or you've become too powerful, you've leveled up too fast against your buddies and you've left them behind, or you don't have to worry about being separated anymore. What you can do instead is you can come over to CADEsport and you can do your first ride and race together so that the system gets your numbers and you can socialize together. So what happens here is that once you put out a good amount of riding, you want to do at least 20 minutes, probably an hour, in Pro Power Mode. What will happen when that day elapses, the servers and the processors behind CADEsport will crunch your numbers and find out what your threshold is. So I should mention that this is the brainchild of Frank Garcia, the CEO and founder of CycloGen. But it was actioned by somebody or some buddies, I don't know who, at CycloGen, who are clearly very good at mathematics, very good at coding, and very knowledgeable of the sports sciences that go into this. And what it does is for each rider, when it's found their threshold, it equalizes that to an equalized number of 421 watts. So that means if you ride at threshold, or at the sweet spot, which is like 15 to 20% lower than threshold, with your buddies, you'll be able to ride together. In races, this levels the playing field. It means that if you wish to win, you're going to have to dig deep. You're going to have to make those attacks, those breakaways, those sprints, whatever you want to call them, way above your threshold. You're going to have to dig very deep. You're going to have to go to that place of pain and drink from that well. So as you can see, I'm currently above 421 watts. I'm above my personal threshold because I am climbing. So let's go through what's on the screen here so that you have a better understanding of what we're both looking at. Top left, we have got the map of the course, and just beneath that we have the terrain profile, or the gradient profile if you will. On both of those I am the amber coloured circle. Beneath that we have the lap counter. I'm currently on lap 202, as you can see. We then have a progress bar just beneath that, which is indicated by a furlong flag. So to the left of that bar that is filling up green, it says 8.7 right now, that's the kilometre count I have completed. To the right of that, that's 6.8, that's the distance remaining. Beneath the furlong flag, you can see the stopwatch. That denotes the time spent in this lap, the time elapsed in a lap. To the right of that, the regular looking clock icon. That denotes the time in this map and time in game, I believe, as well. So elapsed time total. Beneath the stopwatch, we have that gradient profile symbol. Now, simple maths will tell you that I have not climbed 4.9 kilometers. That's because that's not total or cumulative distance, gradient climbed. That is climbing versus distance. So in other words, gradient distance. To the right of that we see the bicycle icon. That just reiterates my cumulative kilometers. If I'd been on more than one map today, that would show a higher number than what I am accumulating in this map. Center bottom I should say, gradient profile, which is to the center left. That tells you the gradient I am currently climbing. Center proper, we see a speedometer. This shows me the current speed I am going. Bear in mind that this is an equalized power setting patented to CADEsport. I am not actually going 38.3 kilometers an hour. Now, if this was a cornering and crash mechanic map, you can see that we have green around that speed marker semicircle wheel in the speedometer. If it was cornering and crashing, you would have amber and red as well. Our white arrowhead shows us if we're in a safe zone or a crash danger zone. So if I haven't dampened my brakes going heading towards a corner, bear in mind you want to treat this kind of like a real road bike and have slowed yourself down before you do your handling. In an ideal world, I know there's times when you can change that, and I know there's some of you who are so macho, I'm sure, that you can handle any corner at any braking condition, and that's fine. But you want to try and be in that green. So in other words, it's warning you of the potential crash danger. It's got awesome animations. You actually drift out if you brake too hard in the corner, because you can lock your wheels, like in real life. And the crash mechanic's awesome. So I spoke about power numbers. Where would you find them? That's going to be the bottom right. You can see that roundel, that little 3/4 circle that comes off of the main roundel. You can see the numbers in there with the lightning bolt or electrical bolt symbol beside it. That is my equalized wattage numbers. Top of the main roundel, that's my heart rate. That's my actual heart rate, not an equalized one. Top right of that roundel, that's my cumulative calories burned. Now, do I still have criticisms of CADEsport? Absolutely. The main one of them is when we look at that bottom right of that main roundel. That's my cadence number. As you can see, it keeps flitting between my actual cadence number and 0. This has been an ongoing issue, and it actually records down to Strava like that as well, showing that I keep flicking between a number and 0. Now this does have power-ups as well in the game, and you can look into that further. They can be activated through your smart device with the co-app, and they can be activated dependent on the recharge time that you're given, the usage time that each one has, and if you're in a race, it's normally regulated by the race master for fairness that everyone has the same amount of the same categories. So, what do you need to start on CADEsport? So you can go the route I've got, where I have an actual road bike attached to a direct drive smart trainer, but you don't have to. You can have an entry-level mountain bike from years yonder, and you can attach it to a very entry-level fluid on mag turbo trainer. We have a speed sensor on your back wheel, cadence sensor on one of your crank arms, and you're good to go. You can even have one of those Wi-Fi enabled static stationary bikes. But I personally feel you're going to get the best out of it with a direct drive smart trainer, but like I say, you don't have to go to that expense. So one thing I should say is full disclosure, since making that first video, and as a result of making that first video, I was actually invited by Vanessa at the CADEsport team, the CycloJump team, to do commentary on their live racing, of which I've done quite a bit. There's been other commentators too. And I've become good friends with Vanessa Moynihan and Frank Garcia from CycloJump. So, and does that flavour my reviews? To be completely honest with you, because I am only human, yes, of course it does. But am I still going to give you my honest feeling about it too? And the answer is again, absolutely yes. Again, I was very honest with you about that cadence issue, which is persistent in both ANT+ and Bluetooth. But here's the long and skinny of that. I feel that the team at CycloJump truly care about the cyclists of this world and truly care about the cyclists that are going to come and use this. First off, Frank Garcia is a former pro at whatever level he got to in cycling. He was also the first guy, believe it or not, to hold the virtual Everesting. And you can go and look at the Everesting website as proof of that and to find out what that is if you're unfamiliar. But here's the thing, when you go and use this app, if you have issues, as you can see there's a help menu, as I showed you earlier, you can actually directly message the team, send your logs over, and they will genuinely examine it within a couple of days. So they generally care about issues that arise, and they care about this cadence one. I'm not sure if my logs have fully shown that to them, so when they see this video they will probably understand it better and what's happening on my end, and that will likely get fixed very quickly now. So when you fully explain it and you can screen cap it and show them, they will get all of this fixed, and it happens really quickly. Now of course the user base is fairly small right now, but it is going to grow as time goes on. And things will change because a lot of people mean that the few hands that run the ship become less hands, or conserve less of the need. Or well, they conserve it, but it won't be as fast, I guess is what I should say, in all fairness. And what I really mean by that is that it's important to remember that what's behind this is care and dedication. This isn't like some of the megaliths in this, just to throw out some names which I maybe shouldn't, maybe that's not fair, but Zwift and Wahoo, their intention, especially Wahoo coming in and getting RGT racing, their intention behind this is profit. Like, let's call a spade a spade. Do I think they care at some level? Absolutely. But you have to remember that it was different. This was started, they've got this out for free now, at the moment, at the time of recording this, which was the 21st of February, 2023. So you can use this for free. And you can still mention stuff to them, stuff that maybe needs fixing, and they will still fix it. So this isn't about fixing it for the money. This is about care of the community. Alright, so I finished the lap there. I was hoping to get the co-op working, but my cell phone is having an issue. That's not a CADEsport platform issue. That is an issue with my end. So sorry about that. But what I will say is, yes, it comes up on the phone. It is a light mobile friendly only, or mobile, whatever you'd call that, mobile platform only website. So it's very light on data on your phone, so older phones and new phones alike can use it equally. It connects as a remote control. You have a controls option, you select that, and it works with the gyroscope of your phone. So the base of my front wheel is on one of the Elite Sterzos, and I can steer my handlebars, and it changes the gyroscope in my phone accordingly, which sends that feedback into the game so that I can steer. There's a braking button. The longer I hold it, it brakes by a percentile that increases, which is reflective of dampening your brakes in the real world. And then you can hit your power-ups as well. Unfortunately, again, because of the issues I had here with my cell phone, you're just going to have to take my word for it, I'm afraid. Or maybe go out and try it, see for yourself. I like it. So as you can see, you've got all my stats coming up there. I'm just doing a slow roll just to massage my legs, because despite not going really hard at it like I normally do or would if I wasn't talking, the fact is I was holding in a hell of a lot of air to be able to talk to you, which is why when my heart rate comes up here, you'll see that my heart rate is crazy compared to my power zone distribution, because I was holding so much in my lungs to be able to talk to you for so long and with such complex sentences. So some other thoughts on this. The other reason why I think that this is the best erg mode for your direct drive smart trainer of any virtual platform out there currently is that I also got to try a mountain bike course the other day in a race, where my avatar changed over to being on the mountain bike rather than a road bike. And when I went off-road, suddenly the chain resistance torqued up. And that is reflective of how it actually kind of feels on a mountain bike, because you have those wider tires, with that very hard rubber grip, and that lower tyre pressure, which is all designed to increase your rolling resistance off-road to make you safer, and also to make navigating rugged terrain easier, of course. And then when my bike rolled back onto the road again, suddenly it went back down to a lower rolling resistance. And that felt very reflective of the real world. I thought that was fantastic. Now, why wasn't that erg mode working for me the other time? One was the certificates, like I spoke about earlier. But the other thing is something that I can highlight to you here with my cursor. So do you remember I spoke about I was unsure before about what that trainer percentile does? So I took it down to 0, not knowing what it was. But you have to have it up at 100 to get the full erg mode, but also to get the full effect of that draft benefit I spoke of. So part of it was my mistake, part of it was them not having the certificates. Now all of that's fixed, so I can recommend if you get on this, you want to have that trainer at 100% if you are on a direct drive smart trainer. So there we go, hard zone for my heart rate, as you can see, zone 4, because of all of that holding the air in to talk to you, rather than focusing on riding. Actually, that made it a harder ride, holding all that air in, because that was not a hard ride at all. So, if you want to try this out, go to CADEsport.com, where you can get a download. It's currently Windows and Mac, laptop and desktop devices only for the main game. Co-op is on any mobile platform, really, that you have any kind of camera base and web base on. And yeah, go and give it a try. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. The graphics, which were commented on the last video I did, they look lower on my machine because I'm on low fidelity graphics. They can actually go all the way up to 4K rendering, where you get amazing graphical details on everything. The reason I am not doing that is because I'm doing 3 things right now through my computer, and I don't want to cook my computer. So I've got the graphical interface of this, taking up processing power, video card and graphic card power, but then I also have my DSLR connected through the computer as a webcam. I then also have OBS running, which has a live monitor output. So I've got all of that just chewing up processing video card power. And so yeah, I'm on low fidelity graphics. But I promise you, if you go and look at the live races that have been recorded down on the CADEsport Facebook page or on their YouTube page, you'll see that the graphical interface is actually really good. And even that's not fully reflective, because you could remember that video is compressed down for those online platforms. So go and try it. If you're on a powerful 4K gaming machine and you've got your cycling set up, go and give it a try. You'll actually be pleasantly surprised with the graphics. Alright, so I think that's everything I've got to show you today. So I'm just going to end activity. So this does have a setting to put everything down to Strava, and that just happens immediately as I end activity. There's no interface for that that makes a big deal about it like it does on a certain other virtual cycling platform. And that's me done for today. Do go and give this a try. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.